This is Melissa Neal and we are live. I'm just trying to adjust my camera here so that you can see me. And the reason I am standing right over here is because I'm going to be doing some demos on lifting weights, namely the key exercises that you need to have in your repertoire as a woman over 40, because there are some key exercises and I'm going to be demonstrating them here. Key exercises for burning fat. And I'm just going to adjust the camera up slightly. These are key exercises for burning fat. So I'm going to demonstrate them. And the first one I'm going to be talking about is the good old squat. And if you can see me there, hopefully you can see me there, hopefully you can hear me. If you are just joining, please put a comment in the comment saying where you're from, you know, how long you've been following me. Maybe it's the first time you've actually seen any of my videos. So with exercise and women over 40, we want to be focusing on lifting weights. And I'm going to tell you why in shortly. But I'm going to demonstrate some of the key exercises. And I've just got dumbbells here. I'm in my home. I've got dumbbells because the other thing I want to demonstrate is this is absolutely okay to work out from home. And one of the key lifts that I absolutely love that every woman should have in her armory is the squat. And some people can't do squats very easily. So I'm just going to put this weight down. If you're new to squats, I would recommend that you do them without weight to start off with. And that's what I always say to people in my program. And so you want to be sort of standing, feet hip width apart, and then you're going to go as low to the ground as you can possibly go. And you could even, when you're at home, practice performing this and just kind of staying in that Asian squat position, which is like your feet slightly turned out. But of course, if you're just doing a standard squat, what you're going to do is you're going to go down and you're going to go back up again. And there are so many ways to perform a squat. And I'm going to do a modified one in a minute. But it could be with the weight on the front of you. So a dumbbell, holding a dumbbell like that, or a kettlebell. Now, if you were doing this with a barbell and you wanted the weight to be on the front, so that's going to be a bit more quad focused, you'd kind of hold the barbell here. Then another good way of holding your dumbbells, especially if they're starting to get quite heavy, is like that. Or they could be down by your side. So there's kind of multiple ways you could perform a squat. And if that's problematic for you, you can do something called box squats, where you go kind of like halfway down. That's actually a bit high. If I was doing it, I'd probably do this here. That's about the right height. So if squats are problematic for you, you can kind of get a seat and do them, you know, do them halfway down. So you're actually supported here and then go back up. Those tend to be also a lot more glute focused than the full squat. But if you can go all the way down, that is going to be amazing for you because it's really going to work your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings. So every woman, if you possibly can, should have the squat in her armory. So that's like my number one key exercise for fat burning and for women over 40 to build muscle, because what we want to be doing is focusing on compound movements. Compound movements are movements that use multiple muscle groups. And so this is what I want you, if you're a woman over 40, to focus on, is compound movements. Something that's not a compound movement, so you wouldn't have too much of this in your workout, is something like a bicep curl. Because that's just working one muscle. When you're performing a squat, you're working your quads, your hamstrings, your core. You're bringing a little bit of your upper body in as well, your calves. Some people ask me, why don't I have calf exercises in my workouts on my app? So that's like a calf exercise, because you're bringing in your calves in, all the other exercises that you do. So you don't necessarily need to isolate your calves. Now, if you're able to, this is not for absolutely everyone, but we've done a squat, you can do, and of course, if you've got bad knees, maybe you can't do this, something called a split squat. So that's when you split it and you're going to do it in just doing it on one leg. And Ken and I this morning were doing Bulgarian split squats. So that's like a squat, but it's just on one leg. And what that is really amazing for is each leg and glute is going to work equally hard as the other one. So sometimes it's really good to split things up into a single leg movement, but only if you can. If you've got bad knees and that's troublesome for you, don't worry about split squats and Bulgarian split squats. So that's the squat. Everyone should have that in their armory because it's a big compound lift. And the next one I'm going to talk about that I absolutely love, and if you're just joining, I'm doing a whole live today on exercise for women over 40. What are the best exercises? So I'm starting off with the best exercises for women over 40. And they're all like the key lifts that we need to have, the tools in our armory to really make a massive difference when it comes to transforming our bodies. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the deadlift. The deadlift is amazing. It's going to work what's called your posterior chain. So that's all the way kind of from your back, all the way down your back to your glutes, to your hamstring, your posterior chain. And one of the deadlifts that's really good if you're doing this at home with dumbbells, but you can also do this with a barbell, is the Romanian deadlift. The Romanian deadlift is also really good for glutes as opposed to the standard deadlift. So we want to be standing hip width apart. So you can see there, I got my hips, my feet hip width apart, but I'm facing sideways so you can see absolutely what I'm doing. And then we want to bend our knees slightly and go lower down, but we want to keep our backs as straight as possible, neck neutral. And what we don't want to be doing is kind of thrusting like that when we go up. So we want to be neutral when we get back up to the top of the position. And deadlifts are another one. These are RDLs that are amazing for transforming your body. They work multiple muscles, as I've described, and you're really going to get a nice shape to your glutes and your hamstrings with this movement. So it's a really, really good one. Now, the next one I'm going to demonstrate is we want to always do push movements. And there are so many ways you can do push movements. And in my personal workouts, I sort of split my push movements. So they're upper body push movements. I split them out so I do them separately from my pull movements, but you don't have to. On your upper body days, you could do push movements and pull movements, and it's absolutely okay. My sort of two favorite push movements I'm going to cover today. And the first one is a push-up. We call them press-ups in the UK. I'm actually going to go down and do them with these, holding onto these dumbbells, but you could hold onto them on the floor. So I'm hoping you can see this here just about. So you want to start off with your, your back flat. You don't want to droop your hips too much. Some people do that as you go down. And then you're going to go all the way to the floor and kind of back up again. And what it's doing by holding the dumbbells is it's kind of forcing me to sort of balance myself a bit more. So it's just slightly harder than if I was going to do it with my hands on the floor. Now, of course, many women find that difficult. So do it on your knees. If I can I'll just go a little bit further back there so you can see it. So you can do, if I go further back here, you can actually do a push-up on your knees. So there are multiple ways to do push-ups. You could even, if that's too much for you, you can actually do it on the wall as well. And I get women who find doing them on the floor too difficult at first. I get them doing that on the wall, or even like this. So you could be leaning on a piece of furniture and doing it here like that. And that's actually going to be easier than doing it on the floor. And of course, when you get advanced at it, you can actually do it with your feet raised. So you can do a push-up like that, and that's going to be kind of more advanced, and kind of the higher you have your feet raised, the more difficult it is. So there's multiple ways to do a push-up. The alternative to that is to do with dumbbells, do a chest press. That's an alternative because it's the same movement pattern. So for people that find push-ups difficult, start with a chest press. The other one that I absolutely love, and of course this relies on you having no issues with your shoulders, is the good old shoulder press. It's a push movement. So it's that, and we want to make sure we're bringing our elbows down at least to a right angle. So if you can't do that and you're sort of doing this, which sometimes happens to me because it's too heavy for me, you want to be kind of reducing the weight. So that's like a couple of push movements. The other tool that you need in your armory, and these are all compound movements, by the way, so they're all working multiple muscle groups. So the press up, the push up that I just showed you, that's actually going to work your whole body, like your core. So the primary muscle for push-ups is chest, but you're bringing your back, your shoulders in, your core, your quads, your glutes. So that's why I love women to at least attempt to push up, women over 40. And normally you will find, my clients find, when they start doing them, they start on their knees and eventually they'll be able to build up to a full push-up, eventually. And then the overhead press, of course, your primary muscles, it's going to be working on your shoulders, shoulders, back, chest a little bit as well, core. So it's working, and biceps, even biceps and triceps. So, and of course, if you did a push-up, if you did an overhead press like this, like an Arnold press, you're actually going to work your biceps a lot more than doing like the standard one. So sometimes you will see those in my workouts as well. So that's like 4 key movements that I love women over 40 to do. The last sort of group of movements I'm going to talk about are pull movements. Now, it's quite difficult to me to show you a whole range of pull movements with dumbbells, but there are a few. So there's something called the bent over row, and I'm going to show it by standing on the side. And you're going to stand bent over, and you want to be leaning quite far over with your back flat. And you don't want to be sort of upright doing this. You want to be bent over so that it's going to work your back fully. And then you pull the dumbbells towards you. Oh, sorry if that hit the microphone then. You want to pull that towards you. Now, an alternative to this is you can do it as a single arm movement. So you could do it like that, leaning on a bench or a chair. So that's a pull movement. If you go to the gym, lateral pull downs, where you're pulling a bar down, are other good pull movements. And then seated rows are another good pull movement as well. And of course, the good old pull-up. So you can use, if you can't do a full pull-up, you can use a machine to assist you that's kind of weighted, and it's sort of weighted in your favor, so you can do that. And you can sort of loop a band around your foot and the top, and then if the band will support you going up and down. But pull-ups are kind of one of my favorite exercises for really, really getting a good back workout. And you'll see I actually have a video here on YouTube that I did recently whilst I was away in Asia, which shows pull-ups. So that now, of course, most women, and I was the same, I didn't do a pull-up until I turned about age 50 something, my early 50s. You're not going to be able to do a full pull-up, but as I said, you can use a machine and you can use a resistance band to loop it from the top to the bottom so you get support. And then once you can do that, you can kind of graduate towards doing full unassisted pull-ups. So there's one more pull movement that I will show you, which are upright rows. And that's going to work your back and your shoulder, and a great compound movement. You really are working multiple muscle groups as well as your back and your shoulders. You'll be working your chest. You're going to be working your triceps. You're going to be working your core. And in fact, all of those, you might wonder why I haven't shown any core movements today. Those are sort of the key moves that I recommend for women over 40. And you might be sort of thinking, well, there's no core exercises. And that's deliberate because everything that I've shown you, it's going to be working your core. And of course, you do want to work your core, do some core exercises. And I normally do them once or twice a week. But it could be, you just add in core exercises. I'm just going to come back here now to talk to you. You could add in core exercises just at the end of your workout, 1, 2, 3 times a week. It doesn't have to be a massive amount. So it's lovely to see you. Lovely to see you all here, and thank you very much for joining on this live. If you're just joining, I'm actually talking about the key exercises that are amazing for women over 40, but I am also going to be talking about the stuff that I don't want you to do because it can actually scupper your progress. And in my experience of coaching hundreds of women, but also through my programs we've had over 10,000 women. There's some that you're going to find that you're repetitively having people approach me, and you'll hear from a video from this lady that happened, and they're doing these things and they're not getting the result. And I'll kind of talk about why. So, you know, it's really important to know not only what to do, but what not to do when it comes to exercise. So let's get into so we've covered, so hopefully let me know in the comments whether you found the key moves that I want you to do useful, or maybe you're already doing them. So those were like the best exercises for women over 40. The squat, the deadlift, the push movement, the pull movement. If you can do a single leg movement, like a split squat, a lunge, or Bulgarian split squat, yes. If you can't, don't worry about it, because a lot of women have problems with their knees at this stage in life. And Mike Hen, he has problems with his knees, but he's done an awful lot considering that he's got problems with his knees. He's done amazing, you know, he's managed to overcome quite a bit, because the thing with knees is, I'll just talk about this a little bit, but if you strengthen the muscle in your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, if you strengthen the muscle around the knee, you can get real improvement in your knee. So it may be that you've got really bad knees and you're watching this and you're thinking, well, I can't do any of this. Excuse me while I wipe my nose. I can't do any of this. You can find improvement, I promise you, by doing things like starting off with squats and doing it with no weight at all to start off with, and really strengthening your legs. And if you have got access to a gym, you know, using kind of the machines like the you know, quad extension machine and the lying leg curls. So the leg extensions, the lying leg curls, because it's gonna like strengthen your quads, strengthen your hamstrings, but you can still do that at home with dumbbells and those exercises I've just shown you. So Christina says, is it possible, let's just put this question up, is it possible to do strength training sessions in 30 minutes? Absolutely, yes. So in my Strong Women program, we have, I'm going to talk about it, we got 50% off at the moment with my Strong Women program. You can, and actually I think it's Aruba that's here, could you put the link in the chat to the Strong Women program? There's a really good deal going on at the moment with 50% off. It's a club, it's a membership club that you can join. And so Christina says, is it possible to do strength training in 30 minutes? Absolutely, yes. And in fact, would you believe it? A lot of people spend too long in the gym. So I would say you probably don't want to be doing much more than an hour and 15 minutes. Most of the time, when I do legs, I do maybe an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. The rest of the time, I do about 45 minutes on my upper body. You know, and you can get 45 minutes. It's probably taking long because I go in with my partner, Ken, who's my training partner. If I was on my own, I'd probably get it done in 30 minutes. So you really can. And I think with strength training, less is more. Sometimes people do too much. And it starts to become, when you're going for extended periods of time, it starts to become less effective. And I'll talk about this, but you also need to give yourself rest days. Really important. So we're going to talk about the best and worst exercises, or I've gone through the best exercises actually, but I'm going to explain strength training in a bit more detail. And then we're going to talk about the worst exercises. And right at the end, I'm going to talk about the amazing offer I've got going on at the moment with my Strong Women Club. It's a membership program. It's tried and tested. I've been running this since around 2021, and it's been amazing. It's an amazing membership program with tons of sort of really useful content in it, and weekly live calls as well with me and my coaches. However, we have just revamped it. We've revamped it and improved it. And you have got a fantastic opportunity to get 50% off and tons of really amazing bonuses, including this merch. So not this specific hat, it's actually a t-shirt. Have I got one here? Yeah. One of the bonuses is, this is my version of it, but you'll have one that just says Strong Women Club. Of course, I'm trying to fit it into the picture. So you'll get like that as a sort of extra bonus, but there's like $8,000 worth of bonuses as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. I'm going to talk about what to stop doing. And this is quite divisive. When I talk about this, people are like, oh, you know, some of this has a cult following. And so they get really upset when I say, you know, you've got to stop doing this. I have clients come into my program and they're like, oh, Melissa, I'm training for a marathon. And I'm like, you shouldn't really be doing that. It's going to really scupper your chances of success when it comes to body transformation. So the first thing on the list is tons of cardio. What do I mean by that? I mean like endurance training. So training for a marathon is a typical one where you're doing extended hours and hours and hours of running. And I used to do that, and I actually gained weight by doing that. And the reason, it's not because I'm trying to spoil your fun, if you do like running, is you just got to keep that down to a minimum. I'd say you do it for 20 or 30 minutes if you do have to run. If you could turn it into sprint training, sprint intervals, you know, or hill sprint, something like that, that would be even better. I would love it even more. But you don't want to be going out for like an hour of running, because what you're doing at the moment, what you want to be doing is you want to be focusing on building muscle. And people get very scared of that. They're like, oh, you know, does that mean I'm going to get bulky? I'm just going to sort of reduce the size of that so you can see more of me. And, you know, they're concerned that they're going to look like one of these massive women, competitive bodybuilders. And it's literally impossible to get like this. You can't possibly do it, because those women that you see that are on stage, firstly, what has happened is they've got really, really lean. So, you know, they're kind of shredded. You can see striations. That's what it's called in the business. And so they're excessively lean. They're getting down to like less than 10% body fat. And so that makes the muscle look even bigger. But not only that, the ladies in the bigger categories, unless they're in a natural show, generally they're taking performance enhancing drugs as well. So it's just absolutely, and as a menopausal woman, putting on muscle is really hard. So I get I've seen some women say, not so much to be, but now and again they go, oh, I don't want to get like that. And it's like, well, you'd be lucky to get like that. It's just impossible. These women are doing hours and hours of training and this sort of really sort of extreme nutrition as well to get like that. And generally they're younger. So when you hit over the age of 40 and 50, it's impossible to get bulky. All you're talking about is putting back the muscle that you lost through the aging process. And that's all that you're doing. So if you look at me and how I am, hopefully most people wouldn't describe me as bulky. Yes, I've got a little bit of muscle definition, but of course, what's going to happen if I get muscle definition? what's going to happen is my body is going to turn into a fat burning machine. It's going to like be much easier for me to lose fat, and particularly around my midsection, but you know, all over my body. It's going to be, if I have muscle on me, it's going to be easier for my body to lose fat. So even if people are using, I had a woman on the live a few weeks ago who was using a Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever it is, a weight loss drug. Even if you're using a weight loss drug, you still should be lifting your weights and kind of eating your protein. To, in fact, perhaps people like that need to focus it on even more as well. So you shouldn't fear, you know, muscle. And of course, when you're doing a large amount of endurance training, cardio, like training for a marathon, what's going to happen is it counteracts everything that you've been doing in the gym with your lifting weights. So it's like going against, because what that sort of excessive cardio does is it's going to result in you losing muscle. So you'll find that you really can't build muscle. And Orange Theory is another one. So I've had clients that come to me and they're like, oh, Melissa, I've been doing Orange Theory. I really love it. I've got this membership and it's great. I've got these friends. Same with CrossFit. And I'll show you a video later on of a lady that was doing CrossFit and I got her off CrossFit. But it's not really designed, although there is some lifting. There is a bit of lifting in Orange Theory. There's a lot of lifting in CrossFit. It's not really the right type of lifting. So it's at pace with other people in the group, and you're not going, you're not necessarily achieving something called progressive overload. So you want to be sort of taking your time. So if I go back to my dumbbells a minute and sort of show you, you want to be taking your time. If I'll just move the camera down a little bit and lifting to your own, the maximum you possibly can, but keeping your form. So if I was sort of doing, let me do lateral raises. So, you know, I'd want to be doing this and I'd want to be doing it quite slowly so that it really works the muscle, not be in a class with loads of other people doing this really fast, because it's actually not going to be working the muscle. So we want to be working out mindfully, and the intensity needs to be good. And by the time I get to the last sort of 2 or 3 reps, it needs to be like, oh, this is a real struggle. I'm really struggling to get up. And you might even find you're going to failure. And of course, when you're in a class with other people, you just take a set of weights, not necessarily with CrossFit, but the other Body Pump and Orange Theory. You just take a set of weights and you're using pretty much the same set of weights for all the exercises. And so you're not really getting what I call progressive overload. And that, when you get progressive overload, and what that leads to is hypertrophy. And what that leads to is muscle growth. And that's what is really going to move the needle for women over 40. And some people will say, they're probably, if you're in CrossFit and you're probably thinking, well, how does that work? Because we're doing lifting, but you're not doing all the stuff that I've just talked about, where you're doing it at your own pace with proper form. You know, I mean, CrossFitters would say they have proper form, but it's in a competitive environment at speed. And so you're not going to be able to focus on really getting those muscles worked to your own capacity. So you're always pushing the envelope just slightly. So you're really going to be working to your highest capability, so that the last 1 or 2 reps are really they're the ones that make the difference, and they're a real struggle to get out. And that's what you're trying to achieve. So sort of following a proper like workout program and plan which most of the time it could be 30 minutes, it could be 45 minutes. You're going to follow that and you're going to be working a group of muscles. So it might be your legs one day, might be your upper body the other day, and you're going to achieve what's called progressive overload. Women that join my programs, they find that once they stop doing these classes and they're tons of cardio, they achieve a much better result. So that's my preaching over for the day. So that those are the things like I want you, if you're doing them, to stop doing. I'm going to talk about myths because there's when my mother was my age. Happy birthday, mother, by the way. She is 83 today, bless her. So actually, I don't know why I'm saying that because she won't be watching. But I'll put a post up about her later. She won't be watching. When my mother was my age, do you think she was exercising like me? No, she wasn't. So I think there's a lot of misconception. So I'm 58. There's a lot of misconception about what women should and shouldn't be doing at a certain stage in life. And the simple rule for me isn't about age. I'm going to talk a little bit about later on in the next slide about age, things that you should be watching for. But there are some sort of misconceptions. So it's like people think, well, you can't work out as well as a young person when you get to 58, when you get to 60, when you get to 70, when you get to 80. So I've had Renee Landers on this channel. She's now 73 and she can work out. Now, she's had a spinal fusion surgery, so there's some things she can't do, but that's not to do with her age. That's to do with that spinal fusion surgery, which actually led her to lifting weights, by the way. And I've had Ernestine Shepherd, interviewed her for this channel. She's in her 80s. Do you think those ladies ever say to themselves, well, I can't do that because I'm getting old? No, it's about your capability, not the number of years that you've lived. Another myth of that is like, oh, you can't do HIIT, high intensity interval training. So high intensity interval training is when you do kind of flat out, really hard. So if it was sprinting, you'd sprint for 30 seconds and then you'd stop and go for walking pace for a minute. But you could do that with any kind of cardio. It could be like an incline walk. It could be a row. I put sort of circuit training workouts in my program, in my Strong Women Club, that women can do if they don't want to get on a piece of equipment. So you don't have to do high intensity interval training, by the way. I do get women walking with a weighted vest if they don't do it, but it's not bad for you just because it raises your cortisol levels. The thing that's problematic with your cortisol is, because if you think about it, if you do HIIT, it's like 20 minutes. Something like that. But so 20 minutes of raised cortisol levels, not a problem. But if your cortisol levels are raised all through the day because you're stressed out, that's a problem. I've seen a lot of comments like that on my content about high intensity interval training. However, I have changed my position because I used to say, oh, everyone's got to do HIIT. And now I don't. I just say, if you don't like it, don't do it. You can still get an amazing result with walking and adding in a weighted vest once your body gets used to walking a little bit. So if you add in a weighted vest, I've done a whole video all about walking. You're just going to keep your body guessing a bit more. People think the older you get, the less fit you are. Again, it's not really about your age. You can work. If you're watching this and you're in your 60s and you're thinking, oh, I've left it too late, you can get your fitness back. I started my fitness journey, late 40s, early 50s. So you're not going to be an elite athlete if you're in your 50s, I believe. I might be wrong. There's probably someone somewhere has proved me wrong. I know we had soccer players here in the UK that were in their 40s, and that's becoming more commonplace. I think I'm just trying to think of some famous athletes. There might be a few that's in their 40s, probably not in their 50s. But other than that, you can still be really fit. And the other myth about exercise is you can spot reduce fat. So people will put like a typical one of this makes me really angry, is core workouts. You'll see them online, see videos, and people are like, they're doing all these core workouts, stuff like this, and like lying on the floor, doing sit-ups, doing leg raises. And then they go, this is how I got my core like this. And it doesn't work like that. You can't just do an exercise and then get rid of the fat around your belly with that exercise. So it's a bit like saying, if I do a bicep curl, I'm going to get rid of the fat on my biceps. You can put more muscle on there, but to reveal, to reveal any kind of definition, it's going to be about nutrition and focusing on your nutrition and getting your nutrition right. So you can't just sort of do a specific exercise and it's going to spot reduce fat. So those are the couple of myths. But there are some differences that we need to be aware of. Can you feel it? I feel it. I feel it. So one of the biggest differences that I've put on there is you need more recovery time. So I don't want you working out 7 days a week, doing intense workouts 7 days a week. I used to do that, but actually I didn't look very good on it. That was part of my failure. My 2.5 years of failure was working out too often. And it's a big mistake. One of the reasons why is if you're in the market for building muscle, which you should do if you just joined. I did talk about that in quite a bit of detail, that women at this stage in life, we need to be sort of focusing on building muscle. And so if you're not having enough recovery time, your body can't build muscle, because building muscle happens when you do the exercise, you do the lifting weights that I showed at the start, and then your muscle actually grows in the recovery time. So if you're not letting your body have any recovery time, it's really hard to grow muscle. I see it all the time with people overtraining, especially because I've got a gym membership. You see people in there, they come up to me and they go, do you come in every day? And I'm like, no, I come in 4 or 5 times a week. That's more than enough. Some people might want to do 3 times a week, and that's okay for 30 minutes. Because in between that time, your muscle's going to grow. The second reason that you need recovery time is you just generally need more recovery time when you're older. So although you can be just as fit and athletic and do all this stuff, I do like the jumping around, the box jumps, the burpees, I do the pull-ups. I can do lots of body weight exercises, and I'm probably, above average when it comes to, my fitness levels. However, because of my age, I need more recovery time. And if you're in the throes of menopause, so maybe you're in perimenopause, you're just coming up to the point, of course, you don't know when it's going to happen, where your periods are going to stop. Any age between the age of 40 and 55 usually, but it can be a bit younger. Some people go into early menopause. You're going to find the year before your period stops, or certainly this was the case for me, it becomes really challenging and you need more rest. So you need to take those rest days. I was talking to my clients on my Strong Women Club, and I was saying they were shocked because I said 4 times a year I have 7 days straight off from training and working out, because I go on vacation. It's usually a dancing holiday, so I'm being very active in other ways. I love house music, and so I go to like festivals all around Europe, but I don't do structured exercise for that 7 days, and my body loves it. My body absolutely loves it. 4 times a year I do that. And someone asked me, well, when should you do it? Maybe every 12 to 16 weeks. You just take a rest week, you know. Some people take a deload week where they reduce all the weights they're doing. I don't. I just take full rest. I feel that that's better for women at this stage in life. You may pick up more injuries. Have you found that? You're like, just seem to get like niggles, aches and pains. You feel a bit like that. You might like pull a muscle or do something much more often than you did when you were young. It's pretty normal. You need to warm up and make sure you're stretching off as well afterwards. Really important. You maybe you're taking longer to recover from an injury, or if you get sick. Have you found that? I rarely get sick, but when I got COVID, which was a few years ago now, it took me ages, literally 6 weeks, maybe a bit more, 6 weeks out of the gym. But even when I went back to the gym, I was still not feeling 100%. So that's a huge one. Don't feel like you're abnormal if it's taking longer to recover from injuries and getting sick. But if you're eating well, so if you're eating the kind of really great nutrition that I have on my Strong Women Club, you'll find that you will get less sick. I even have women on my programs. So I had one lady called Julie, and she went in for surgery because she had cancer and she had to have a lump removed. And the doctor turned around and said to her, she's 59. I've never seen somebody recover so quickly like you. And she'd been with me about a year, Julie has. You can find her video when you go to the link for the Strong Women Club. You'll find her video, Julie Duggan, her name is, that talks about that. So, if you've got the right nutrition and you're exercising well, which again doesn't mean overtraining. Julie didn't do 7 days a week or anything like that. It's normal levels of training. You will find that you can generally, recover a bit better. You can improve that prospect of taking longer to recover from being sick and injury. You may also suffer from fatigue. How many of you have that? I had fatigue. So again, perimenopause, the year before my menstrual cycle stopped, massive fatigue. And then the year after my menstrual cycle stopped, so like pretty much over 2 years, massive fatigue. And that's when you want to start prioritizing. What am I going to do when I work out? And for me, that's like, it's always the priority is always lifting weights and walking. So if you feel like, oh, I'm too fatigued, lift weights 2 or 3 times a week. The rest of the time, get your walking in. If you have to like prioritize because you're like, I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling really exhausted and I need to rest. So I hope that sort of resonates with some of you, some of the things that I'm talking about. And then let's talk about what you can be doing. So I showed at the start all the lifts. The core lifts are squats, deadlifts, push movements, pull movements. If your knees will allow it, single leg movements. for strength training. You can work out at home. You can work out at the gym. It doesn't matter. Women on my Strong Women Club get really great results from working out at home. The best place to work out is where you believe you can do it and be consistent. During COVID, the gym shut here in the UK and I couldn't go to the gym. I like going to the gym because I like being around other people and I like the vibe. I'm around like-minded people and I just kind of find I like it. And it's like super friendly where I live. We get to meet people, make friends and stuff like that. So I absolutely love it. However, the gyms were shut for, I think it's probably around about a year and a half on and off. And I got incredible shape at home. And that was actually when I first started my first program, which was the 6-week shred in COVID. I had a couple of dumbbells, small dumbbells, pink ones, and I couldn't buy anything else because there wasn't anything available. So I got myself a weighted vest. I could get that on Amazon. And what else did I get? I got a pull-up bar and some bands because that was what was available. And I got in incredible shape from home. So it is absolutely possible. But you might find as time goes on, to push yourself a bit more, you need to buy more equipment for home. So that's what I did. I started like, once we could actually get hold of stuff. I think it was when people went back to the gyms, actually, when the gyms open, I could get hold of a bit more equipment. I started building up. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll get kettlebell, adjustable kettlebells, adjustable dumbbells, so that you've got all different weights and that sort of thing. Maybe a barbell if you've got somewhere to put it. So you just sort of start adding to your equipment. You may want to do high intensity interval training if your fitness will allow it. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. You know, as I said, I've changed my position on it, but it's really great for burning calories. So, you know, what you'll find is you can do something in a really short space of time, like 15 minutes, and you're going to burn a lot of calories, and it's going to carry on burning calories for up to 48 hours after HIIT. That's why it's quite useful, and it can really boost people's metabolism. But so can getting steps in or otherwise walking. Walking is amazing. And I put steps in because it's just a good idea to monitor them with a wearable. As a fact, I've got 2 wearables. I've got 2 wearables. I've got a ring, just in case one of them doesn't work. I've got 2. So I got a ring and I got like a watch. You don't have to get anything expensive. There's some cheap wearables on Amazon that are very good. So you can just sort of monitor the steps you're doing. I sort of say to people, we'll get 7,000 steps in. The thing to point out with lifting weights is you don't want to be constantly switching up your workout and doing different lifts. You want to just get good at the same key lifts that I've just showed you at the start. So if you've joined and you're sort of thinking, well, what's she talking about? Maybe watch the recording back, because I showed the sort of core lifts at the start, the key lifts. So you want to, I mean, with something like a deadlift, it's so important to get the form right, and you're going to spend a bit of time when you first start doing something like a deadlift, getting the form right, whether it's with dumbbells at home or in the gym, and then practicing and getting better and better and better. And like for me, I've continually have to work on my form. It's not something, and so if I'm constantly changing the lifts, I won't see improvement. I won't see growth in strength. And I've pretty much been doing a similar workout for years. I'll just change things up a little bit sometimes, but I do the same key lifts and I just get better and better at them. That's the goal. So let me know if you have any questions about that so far. And you want to listen to your body. Some exercises now don't serve you anymore. So I was talking about the knees and saying, single leg exercises are only for people whose knees can manage that. We want to be using modifications if something's too painful. And we always, in my Strong Women Club, we provide modifications. So there's a lady that signed up the other day called Lisa, and she said, "Oh, I'm going in for surgery, Melissa. And I'm going to have foot surgery soon. I think it's in April." And I said, "Well, when you come out, we'll give you modifications. So you can do some other things." Now, she's probably not going to be able to do stuff on her legs. She'll probably do upper body. But I said, when you get out, see how you feel. Don't go straight back into exercise. But when you do, let us know what you can and you can't do, and we'll create some modifications. So you want to have modifications if things are too painful. Sometimes you can use a resistance band instead of a dumbbell. I mean, I've worked with women that have got arthritis and they found it really hard to grip. So I get them using resistance bands. If you feel pain, if it feels off, you should always stop. Don't push through. You've got muscle soreness, that's different. But if it's like a bad pain, you want to stop that exercise. And if you're sick, if you're not very well, if you're ill, maybe you're running a fever, don't try to exercise on that. Take the rest, get some chicken soup and garlic, whatever it is that you do. Just take the rest. So Nick says, I have cerebral palsy and really need to modify everything. Yeah. So anything like that, where you have a particular sort of physical issue that you need to overcome, it's about modifying it. And sometimes for a lot of people, this is where the gym becomes maybe more useful than doing it at home. Gym has loads of machines. So I see people that have broken their leg and they still come in and use the machines, because you can kind of sit on a machine and you're not having to grip with your hands, and you can't sort of overdo the movement when you're on a machine. It's much safer. So sometimes actually going in the gym and using machines can be really, really useful as well. Right, so hopefully that all resonates with you. And that was just the walk the 7,000 steps. I'm just going to go into the questions a minute and just check on anything. So Adele says, is the club for lifetime? Again, 2,000 is challenging in the States. I don't know really what that means, 2,000 what? So I'm going to go into the pricing and everything, but we've actually got an offer for 12 months, which is 50% off, Adele. So I'll sort of talk about that. Nick says, is running 3 miles 3 to 4 days a week on a treadmill at high intensity okay? Yeah, I would think 3 miles is about the limit, because I think that's probably about 30 minutes. Once you start going into an hour and that sort of thing, then I think you've got to pull back. But I'm sure, Nick, that's fine. But you're going to know in some respects, if you're lifting your weights and you're feeling you're not getting stronger and you're not getting the result you want, you might want to pull back from your cardio, because everybody be slightly different. But in my experience, 30 minutes of cardio should be fine. So, you can definitely sort of stick with that, and it should be absolutely fine. And, you know, even if it was sort of 40 minutes, that could be okay as well for some people. But once you start heading into like an hour of cardio, it's going to really kind of affect the results you get. So we're going to hear from Karen, who was an avid CrossFitter, and she sort of had to change her ways. If I can press the button there. I'm not pressing the right button.
I was very frustrated, even though I'm a knowledgeable person in the gym. I do have experience with working out, having done sports my whole life. I still wasn't able to train myself to get results. I was, again, relying a lot on cardio. I used to be part of a triathlon group because I joined to try to lose weight. Oh, and then I went to CrossFit. I went back to CrossFit, which I didn't, although I got strong, I didn't get any results. I need someone to help me. I need someone to just push me over the edge to bring it all together for me. And I think I mentioned that to you in the our very first session, that I needed someone to help me. I love working with coaches and I just being able to leave you a message. I know it's something really, really simple, but like leaving you a message like on Fridays, like when I finish my workout, and also to have your support in adjusting my workout to help me achieve my goals, but also at the same time keeping me realistic about what I'm able to do with the time that I have. I didn't have to go to bed hungry, which is really, really hard. I was still able to lose weight without starving myself, basically, and that getting me on the right macros really helped keep me satiated all day. It was interesting to receive a couple weeks ago, you had sent me the side by side. I was like shocked. I was actually showing people like, oh my God, because it was really, the difference was really huge. I mean, even the fact that I hadn't actually lost a ton of weight, my body composition had completely shifted. I don't have.
So yeah, that was Karen, who sort of implemented everything that I've been talking about on this live and really had amazing success. And the thing about Karen was she'd really kind of not been achieving results until we sort of really cut out the CrossFit and put in the right, you know, all the strength training that I've outlined. She was doing that 4 times a week. She was actually also, just to let you guys know, she was filling in a spreadsheet sort of quite diligently so that she could see if her weights were going up. So that's another tip I would recommend for you. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. You can just buy a workout log on Amazon, and then you can record the number of reps, the number of sets you're doing, and how heavy you're doing, and try to make a small 1% improvement every single year, every single session, not year, a small improvement, and you'll notice a massive difference. So if you want an amazing result like Karen, I have this incredible opportunity to join my Strong Women Club. This actually closes tomorrow, this offer, Thursday, the 13th of March. So you've only got like a bit more than 24 hours to sort of take advantage of this. But this is an amazing offer because not only is it 50% off, but there are $8,000 worth of bonuses included in it. And it's a comprehensive, science-backed fitness and nutrition program for women over 40. That's kind of what it is in a nutshell. And we've been running this a few years, 2.5 years now. And most other fitness programs fail. Why? The ones that I mentioned at the start, because they're not designed for our bodies, our unique needs. They're just designed for the general population. So when I started my programs back in, you know, COVID, when I was doing those workouts from home, I was designing something specifically for women over 40 and menopausal that was going to work for us. And, you know, it's got tons of, these are the features. These aren't even the bonuses. They're just the features. We have workouts tailored for you. There are like 20-minute workouts, strength training workouts, high intensity interval training. There are levels 1 to 4. So there's something for beginner level, something for more intermediate and advanced women. We have customized meal plans, a comprehensive supplement plan for you, an incredible wellness bundle that includes everything like to support your wellness, you know, yoga, mindfulness, mindset and motivation training. We've just introduced as a new feature, which is, you know, something we really wanted to do, and they're sprints. They're called sprints. And basically, they're mini challenges that we do every month. So every month you would be joining the other women who are joining this sprint, and you do it all together. And it might be like a challenge around exercise, it might be a challenge around mindset, it might be a challenge around nutrition. And so we run those every single month. And what the beauty of that is you're doing that at the same time as the other women in the club. We have weekly group coaching calls with me and my other coaches. So a bit like the session we've done today, we're giving you expert guidance and help, Q&A, so that you can really get the most out of your program. And every week we have somebody different. We've got like Hema Patel is a resident coach of ours. She's a mindset coach. We've got nutrition coaches. We've got somebody called Maria Ibrahim that comes in that does like cookery demonstrations. We've got a doctor, Dr. Natasha Ryan, who is amazing. She's a menopause doctor. So we've got like, I haven't even mentioned everybody, but we've got a range of different coaches, and they do the weekly calls on the topics that are pertinent to you, that you really need. And then you also have access. It's like a Facebook group, but it's not on Facebook. It's in our own private community on my app, because everything's all inside this, you know, app. In my app's called Body by Bikini, and you'll have access to this. So we have a Strong Woman Club toolkit. And in that toolkit, you've got tons of workshops. So you've got mindset and motivation, a thyroid health plan. So women that have either Hashimoto's or an autoimmune disease or hyperthyroidism, you can access a whole toolkit that's going to help you with that. We have a hormone health plan, a vacation and travel guide. So maybe you've got a vacation coming out and you're thinking, oh, I need all the workouts and I need how to know how to eat when I'm not in my own kitchen. Well, you've got a guide to help you with that. And then at Christmas time, we've got like a holiday guide, and we've also got a comprehensive gut health guide, because gut health can be a massive problem that we need to sort of resolve when we get to this stage in life. Many women can experience this. Now I'm going to talk about, we've got $8,799 worth of bonuses. I am throwing it in for you because I know how powerful this is, an accountability partner system. And this is only available if you sign up before tomorrow, the 13th of March. And once that's gone, it's kind of gone, where we're going to pair you with a like-minded woman in the Strong Women Club, and you're going to support each other. So you're going to have a accountability partner who will be hopefully definitely in the same time zone as you, possibly in the same location as well. And people have already been doing that informally, but now we're going to do it for you, which, you know, I'm really excited about. You just make much better progress when you've got an accountability partner. You're going to complete an online form where you'll get instant access to all your personalized plans. And then you're going to have a kickoff call with my #1 head coach, Priscilla, who is a certified menopause coach. So you're going to have a call with her and go through all your personalized plans. So you've got a kind of game plan of what you're going to do going forward. and then I talked about it at the start, you're also going to get a limited edition V-neck. So Aruba, could you put the link again in the chat so people can go? Well, I just show the t-shirt. So just included in this offer. Now it won't say lift like this, says lift like a bro. So I've got it. It's always really hard to show things because you've got to show it the opposite way that you think. Actually, that's it. But it's actually going to have Strong Women Club, like my hat on, and it will be it's to be different colours to that. So we've got the limited edition V-neck shirt, and then this is the investment. So this is an amazing offer because normally it would be $97 per month, which I think is $1,116 for 12 months. But you're actually only going to pay $499, which is an absolute steal for all of that content and all of the bonuses. And women are already getting amazing success by joining this program. And I'm just really passionate about making it accessible to you guys. So yes, Ruba's put the link in the chat. And if you go to my main website, melissaneal.com, you will see it there. And, you know, do take advantage of it. And if you've got any further questions about it, I'll just hop in the chat and see if there are any questions. You can also email my team and they'll be happy to talk. In fact, Aruba's here answering the questions in the chat. And she is one of my amazing customer service team members who are super, super helpful. And that's another thing to say. We have a 7-day-a-week operation. So if you download the app and you can't work it, or you need help, you don't understand the workouts, you should, because there's always an explanation. But anything that you need help with, my team, Aruba and others are there 7 days a week, including Saturdays and Sundays, from 9 to 5 EST to sort of answer your calls. We're available on the telephone numbers advertised on the website. You can call, text message, email, whatever your preference is. So Rhonda says, I have heard her talk about walking a lot. Let's just put this question up. I'm sorry if I confused you, Rhonda. I've heard her talking about walking a lot. It just confused me because she doesn't want us to do too much cardio. I love people walking a lot because walking a lot really enhances building muscle. It doesn't go against building muscle, but doing intense running for hours is going to make your muscle reduce. But walking a lot won't. So it's absolutely fantastic. So I went for a walk the other day. It was an hour each way. I met my mother and family. We went to this pub lunch in the UK, Sunday pub lunch. I walked for an hour there and an hour back. Nothing wrong with walking. You're gonna be able to retain your muscle. But if you run for an hour, you're going to start losing muscle mass. So that's the difference. That's why I do recommend women do lots of walking. You don't have to do an hour of walking. 7,000 steps would probably equate to, I think, probably 3 or 4 miles, something like that. And if you're first starting out walking, even 7,000 steps can seem daunting. So I would recommend you start off by just gradually increasing your steps. So maybe if you're doing like 3,000 steps, and you're thinking, oh, well, you know, I want to get to 7,000 steps. Don't jump straight to 7,000 steps. Put another, if you're doing 3,000, think, right, I'm going to try and do 4,000 every day this week. And once you start achieving the 4,000 regularly, then increase it from there. So yes, and Aruba did, yes, and your heart rate does go up when you walk on the hill. So Aruba did answer that question. Thank you very much, Aruba. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It was fantastic to have you here. And I hope that you found that exercise really, really useful, just to run through all the best exercises and the worst exercises. And don't forget to sign up for that deal. You've got until Thursday, the 13th of March to get 50% off and all those amazing bonuses of my Strong Women Club. And I hope to see you, hopefully, in the Strong Women Club very, very soon. Or if not, here on YouTube, on my next YouTube Live. Thank you, everyone.